More unfortunate news for Iowa women's basketball during this offseason as Lisa Bluter loses one of her projected role players at guard for this upcoming season. More on the injury to Kylie Feuerbach in a moment and how Iowa can replace Kylie's production. But first, I want to get to our sponsor. Thank you to Ascent Nutrition. They've got tremendous products in the realm of health, all right? Pine pollen powder. They've got algae oil DHA. They've got this organic coffee that is mold and mycotoxin free. It'll perk you up in the morning. Check out their products. Visit goascentnutrition.com. At order, use the code Hawkeyes to receive 15% off your total order. We've bumped that up from 10 to 15% off your total order. And when you use that code, you're supporting this channel from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Again, visit goascentnutrition.com. Also want to thank Randy Engel and Under the Kitchen down in Mitchellville, doing tremendous artwork in the Hawkeye realm. Exclusive Hawkeye prints. These are awesome gifts, folks. Visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook. Randy Engel doing tremendous work. Visit him and learn how you can purchase a state-of-the-art original Hawkeye print. So the news on, I'm recording this now on Saturday the 6th, the news from Iowa women's basketball. Disappointing news for Kylie Feuerbach and Iowa women's hoops. She tears her ACL and is now out for the season. You feel bad for Kylie. She had a bit of a down year last year. I think their expectations were a bit elevated given the fact that she put up around, 6-3 at Iowa State her freshman year. She transfers to Iowa for her sophomore year and had a role. I expected a bit more from her, but you've got to understand, too, that I thought Kate Martin had a really good year. You already have someone like Caitlin Clark who's going to gobble up a lot of those backcourt minutes, but Kylie was going to have a role. Keep in mind, Tomi Taiwo moving on. She transfers to TCU for her final year. There was going to be a significant role, and I expected Kylie to take a big jump this year, and so this is a blow. You feel for Kylie. Sometimes as fans, we hear about these things. Jack Nunge, I flash back to Jack Nunge tearing his knee in his, sophomore, junior year, somewhere in there for the first time. And, he goes on this long recovery back. He gets back. His dad dies. Then he tears his knee again. I don't think any of us really understand how extreme, unless you went through it, how extreme that is, those conditions. I mean, you go from being a healthy guy who, in Kylie's case, I don't believe she's ever had a torn ACL in the past, but that's a long, long recovery. And so to know she's out for the season, you just feel bad for her. She's been on quite a journey, again, transferring in last year and expecting an expanded role this year. So who will replace Kylie's production? Last year she scored 3.4 points a game, which isn't a ton, but with the loss of Taiwo and Kylie being a year older and a second year in the program, you would have expected her to make an impact. But Iowa does return Sydney Offalter. She's probably the one girl that if you're looking at, didn't play much last year, very sparingly off the bench as a freshman. She's a girl who is going to have an opportunity. Plays kind of similar to Kylie in some regards. And I haven't seen Sydney a ton at the collegiate level, but she played here and there. I believe she saw minutes in 19 games last year, but very few minutes in general per game. She did have a career high against Southern University where she scored 8 points. She's going to have to step up. Now, she's not going to probably be logging more than 8 to 10 minutes a game, if that. You're going to have Caitlin Clark returning. We know Molly Davis, the transfer from Central Michigan. She's more of that point. I mean, she's 5'9", maybe on a good day. No offense to Molly Davis. She's a great scorer. She's quick. She's athletic. But she's probably not going to be playing a ton of the two unless, it's interesting because you bring Molly Davis in. We've talked about that on this very show. How does she fit in with Caitlin Clark? I just don't know. Those two are kind of the ball-dominant types. I like to compare it a bit to, and for anybody who watches this show knows I'm a big Dallas Mavs fan. I would kind of compare that tandem to Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson this past year, and the Mavs were able to make that work. But I think Davis and Caitlin Clark are both ball-dominant guards, and so how do they interact with each other on the court? They're going to have to play at the same time. Molly Davis is too good. She did not come here to sit on the bench, and certainly Caitlin Clark is going to play the majority of every game. So those two will spell some minutes that Tomi Taiwo left behind and transferring to TCU. I mentioned Offalter, who's going to have a chance. Taylor McCabe, got to keep your eye on the high-scoring guard from Nebraska. I think she's going to play right away. She's at 5'9". I do wonder this. You look at the numbers coming in. You've got 4 freshmen in Stolke, McCabe, Giamfi, and Davis. Davis, of course, a senior, not a freshman. So 3 freshmen plus the senior, Molly Davis, transfer from the Chippewas program. You do wonder, though, if there were any plans amongst those 3 that were coming in to redshirt. And does this change now with the injury to Kylie Feuerbach? Does this change plans for any of those 3 freshmen? Certainly, I think McCabe is too good to keep off the court. But, this is going to certainly lend itself to give her more minutes potentially. And certainly not the way you want to get more minutes. Giampi and Stolke, those, we'll see. Do they redshirt one of those girls? Certainly Iowa's got good depth in the front court with Monica Sonano taking a 5th year. You've got McKenna Warnock coming back as a senior. You've got Addison O'Grady, who's a year older. Wettering is back as well. So they've got some options there in the front court, but you do wonder, just minutes-wise, losing a girl like Feuerbach, who's probably going to play at least 10 minutes a game, is a blow. So best wishes to Kylie, and you hope that Iowa can stay healthy. I did see on social media that they did officially conclude their summer workouts. So best wishes to Kylie, and we'll see if this means more minutes for someone like Taylor McCabe or, as I mentioned earlier, Sydney Offalter. Appreciate you tuning in for another segment of the show. I'll be with you again soon. You'll see my normal setting back to normal here pretty soon. So appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.